All righty, we are officially live. At least it says that we are. So, yeah, this is going to be a lot of fun. We are streaming on a bunch of different platforms right now. Everbee is one of them. So, hello to all the Everbee subscribers out there and watchers and listeners. Want to thank you for joining us. All of the Rock Your Brand is here as well. So, we're streaming couple different places. So this is going to be a lot of fun, guys. If this is your first time on one of these lives, just put in the comments first time. And then that way there, we kind of know if this is the first one that you've been on. But this is going to be a lot of fun. So what we're going to be doing is Chris and I are going to be going through our 3-step process for finding untapped Etsy products that are doing $1,000 profit per month. The keyword there is profit. And I actually have 4 that I'm going to be sharing with you. And the reason why is because the 4th one just missed the $1,000 mark. But I think with a couple of tweaks can probably get there. And actually, Chris and I will be discussing that. So that's going to be a lot of fun as well, to kind of dig into that stuff. So Chris, is everything working okay on the live side as far as the comments and all of that stuff?
It looks like it is. It looks like people can see and hear us because we got a lot of people saying first time for Everbee. Hi from Colorado. This is my first time on a YouTube live. Do I just have to wait till it goes live? Well, yes. They should just kick it over for you. If you can hear and see us, then we are live. Unless you're watching this well after the fact that we are live, right? Scott, I had a question that I wanted to ask to everybody before we jump in. And I was just curious because we do have a ton of people rolling in, and I know we have a couple thousand people registered for this. And so I wanted to know kind of where everybody was in the process. So if it's cool with you, I'm just going to ask them and have them let us know in the comments. And you guys can either type it out or just say option 1, option 2, or option 3. And that'll just give us a little bit of an idea of where everybody is. So the question that I wanted to ask was, where are you in your Etsy journey? Is this just something you're trying to figure out how to do, right? You like heard of print on demand, you maybe bought something on Etsy and then saw the little sell your own stuff here button. That would be option number 1. So you haven't really done anything yet. Option number 2 is you've launched your first product. Maybe you found your niche and you haven't quite launched that product yet, but you're on your way. And then option 3 would be you are an experienced seller. You're an old timer, whether you're old in years or just in Etsy experience and frustration, right? And so let me know inside the comments, guys, as we're making sure that everybody all across the world, apparently, because we got people coming from Vienna, Colombia, London, Washington, all of these different places. I got an aloha, so I'm just going to assume Hawaii on that one. So let us know in the comments. 1, you're just getting started, like you just heard of Etsy. 2, you have an idea for a niche or a product, or you've kind of launched your first product but not done anything really with it yet. Or 3, you are kind of an Etsy old timer. So let us know inside the comments. And as we start to see those come in, Scott, I think we are ready to go. I see we're live on our channel. It looks like Everbee is rolling. Facebook is rolling. So whenever you're ready to jump in, I think we can go ahead and do that.
Yeah, cool. And also, guys, give us a little thumbs up real quick, or if you can hear and see us okay, make sure the audio is okay. I know there's going to be people that are going to want to watch this on the replay. So we just want to make sure that our audio and video is doing okay as well. So just give us a thumbs up there if everything is coming through clear. We got over 157 people here with us live right now, Chris. So this is exciting. And I know there's a bunch more going to be coming in. Actually, we just crossed 160. So this is really, really exciting. All right, cool. I'm getting some thumbs up. I can hear and see you. So awesome. So here's what we're going to do. We are going to jump in. So let me go ahead and share my screen. Actually, before I do that, let me give a little intro here. So today, what we're going to be doing is we are going to be going over how to find untapped products on Etsy that are earning, not even earning, they're profiting $1,000 per month. And we're going to go through the 3-step process here today. Now, if you are joining us and you are here live, thank you so much. Drop in the comments live. If you're here on the replay, put in replay on the comments, and we can see who's here live and who here is watching on the replay. But just a little intro. myself, if you are watching this and you're not on my YouTube channel and you're on the Everbee side, I just want to give you a quick backstory. Myself and Chris Schaefer, who's also going to be here. He's here. He's just manning the command center right there. There he is. And we are basically partners. We've been in e-com for years. We've done 7 figures on Amazon. We have done over, let's see here. We're approaching over $100,000 with Etsy. So we've really kind of been playing in the e-commerce sandbox for years, probably going on 15 years now. So the reason why I'm saying that is because we do have some expertise in all platforms. But today what we're going to be doing is sharing what we've learned and also how we're using Everbee to allow us to find these products and to be able to find untapped products, ones that aren't necessarily too saturated as of yet. But there are some things that we're going to be talking about that's really important, not just about finding the products, but what kind of products and also what kind of niches should we be looking at and all of that. So really about how to build a brand using products. So that's really what we're going to be going over here today. So let me go ahead and just dive in. All right, guys. So let me go ahead and share my screen and you can see it here now. So we have basically, like I said, we're going to be going through the process of finding these untapped Etsy products, making $1,000 per month. Now, I went through and I found these products. I actually found 4, but the 4th one is just under the $1,000 mark. It's around $920 or $30, something like that profit. I wanted to give you profit numbers because I think that's really what matters, right? And so I'm going to take you through this 3-step process. I'm going to show you the products. We're going to analyze them together. And I'm going to also show you some of the things we look at to see if it's a product we would even consider. All right. So that's what we're going to be doing here today. So moving on, let's go on to a big thanks though, first to Everbee. And yes, Everbee actually invited me on their YouTube channel. So if you're watching this on the YouTube channel over at Everbee, thank you so much for tuning in. We appreciate you. And I just want to give a shout out to Cody, who is actually the creator of Everbee and the full team over there at Everbee for allowing us to do this and helping us with this. And actually, we've got a little special bonus for anyone that is still considering getting Everbee. So hang tight for that, but we've got some really cool stuff to share with you here, and I'll be sharing that with you at the end. All right. So big shout out and thank you to Everbee. Let's give a little thumbs up for Everbee for putting this together. Thumbs up. Love it. All right, cool. So how to find 3 untapped Etsy products making $1,000 per month. Scott, where do we start? Well, I'm glad you asked because here's where we start. And a lot of people don't start here. And this is step 1, is identifying the niche. And now before anyone on this stream or on this video starts saying, Scott, please say niche or niche, however you want to say it. We're just going to clarify that right now. Some people say niche, some people say niche. I'm going to go with niche. That's how I've always said it. And I know we're going to have some debate here, especially from people all over the world. People say that it's been Americanized and all of that stuff. But I did a little bit of research and I don't think anyone is really right or wrong, but we won't get into that here. All right. So I'm just going to go with niche. All right. So we need to identify the niche. And here's what I'm talking about. Wedding, baby, travel, fitness, gardening, Western, just some ideas. Now, I'm not saying these are the ones that you have to use, but a lot of times when people are looking at products or looking at what they can sell, they're not necessarily looking at the niche, they're looking at products, right? I've had people that say, well, Scott, I'm in the t-shirt niche, or I'm in the mug niche, or I'm in the blanket niche. No, that's a product. A niche is what are you or who are you creating it for, right? So, I mean, I could even throw in here like bass fishing, right? That would be sports and outdoors niche. And then it would be hunting and all of these other sub niches that could go off of it. But we want to identify the niche. So in order for me to do this, I am going through and taking a niche and I'm going to explore products. So if you are brand new, this is where you want to start. Okay. Once you have the niche established, then you're going to be doing everything else that I'm going to be sharing with you. All right. But we have to do this first. This is number 1. Step 1 is identifying the niche, and then we can move on. All right. So step 2 in this process is this right here. And that is, we are going to now do a keyword search, okay, inside of Etsy. And the reason why we're doing this is, number one, it gives us ideas, because now what's happening is we are getting an auto population from the keyword search tool inside of Etsy. So what a lot of people don't realize is Etsy is actually a search engine, but it's a search engine for buyers, for their buyers, right? So as we put in something here like wedding, you're going to see all of this stuff populate, and it automatically populates. Now, if you notice the little B on the right-hand side, that's because I have the Evergreen plugin installed, okay? And what that's doing is that's giving me monthly estimated searches. And the keyword there is estimated searches. There's no tool out there, at least that I'm aware of, that will give you, even Google does not have keyword data that is exact, okay? Now, it does give you a good idea of the volume and also the demand of that keyword. So that's really what we're looking at here. So if you have the Evergreen plugin installed inside of, or the extension in Chrome, you will see this automatically pop up. You can also see on the left-hand side there, that little blue bar with the little B at the top. That's also all of the different tools that are built into Evergreen. All right. So wedding band engagement, wedding gift, wedding invitation, wedding decor and gifts, wedding favors. I mean, look at wedding favors, 6,730. What is that? 36, 38. My glasses. I got my glasses on. I believe that's what it is. So you can see here, I'm getting ideas. So a lot of people say, well, isn't the wedding niche very saturated? And the answer is yes. But what if we go after something that's like maybe the favors, or maybe we go after cake toppers, or maybe we go after guest book or decor and gifts? We can go after all of these sub niches inside the main niche. Okay. And these are just different items that you can build onto your brand. And these could also be just different products that you offer that same customer. All right. So this is where I start always, right here, right? So I went step one. What niche are we going after? I take that broad keyword. Now, the broad keyword, that's wedding. Okay. If we go long tail would be something like wedding band engagement or wedding decor and gifts, right? And so that's how you start the search with that. It doesn't mean that's where you're going to end up, but that's where you start the search. Okay. Now, what do we do next? Well, we start to play a little bit with other options that maybe we became aware of because we did a couple searches and now we're getting more ideas. So I put in here beach wedding, right? So all I did is I put beach on the front of wedding, and now look what I have. Beach wedding favor, over 1,000 monthly searches. A beach wedding dress. Well, I might not sell a dress, but that's good to know. Let's see. Beach wedding cake topper, invitation, decor, shoes, gift, sign, dress for bride, bouquet, like all of these different ideas that I'm getting for products. Some are going to work, some aren't, but it also can spark more ideas. Okay. So moving on to the next one here, I've got wedding gift. Now, one thing you will realize, if you don't already, is Etsy is a gift giving site. Like, that is what people go there for. They even have like best gifts for under $50 or best gifts under $25. Everything is gift. So if you are selling stuff that could be giftable, that's a really, really good thing to have inside of your brand. All right. So put in wedding gift. I have all these other things now. Wedding gift for couples, unique. Wedding gift couple. So I'm starting to think, okay, a wedding gift for couple, that's a keyword I didn't think of. Let's see what maybe we could have there. So that we're going to keep exploring that. Wedding gift for couple, personalized, adding personalized in there. That's a long tail. Wedding gift for bride, for guest, box, bags, for couple, unique, personalized, for parents. So these are all, again, product ideas. And that's where we're always starting. All right. We're going to go ahead and hit our product analytics. And then from there, we are going to, right here, we're going to go into step 3. And then we are going to look at the data. All right. We're going to look at the data. So if we're looking at this data, what are we going to do with the data? Well, the first thing that I want to do is I want to look at the monthly revenue. Okay. I want to look at monthly revenue. And then from there, I want to go ahead and look at the monthly sales. Okay. And I want to sort by these. So as I'm sorting, okay, I'm sorting by these. What I'm going to do now is I am going to look at the ones that are selling the most. Obviously, right? Now, that doesn't mean it's going to be the one that I'm going to go with, but that's what I want to do. I'm going to sort by monthly revenue, monthly sales. Okay. So now that we're doing this, we're going to start analyzing more of the data. So the one thing I want to point this out, the one thing that I like to look at here is monthly sales, monthly revenue, and then also the listing age. I like to look at the listing age because now we are looking at, okay, it's 3 months. That's pretty good, right? And let's see how many sales they got in a month. Oh, they got 348 and they generated $2,854 in revenue. And what else we got here? The other one down below that is 38 sales. Now, 38 sales, can you really make $1,000? Well, I'll share with you here in a second. Pretty darn close to it. And with a little bit of tweaking, we could probably bump that up a little bit. So this is what we do at this stage. We're analyzing the data. We're analyzing all of this data. And this is the cool thing about Everbee is it gives us this data. It pulls that data in for us in a nice organized fashion that we can start to sort through. And I got a really cool sorting trick here I'll show you in a second. All right. So I'm looking at this stuff. I'm pointing out these two right here because these are the two that caught my eye. Okay. 348 sales. Let's see, $2,854 in monthly revenue, total sales, 1,087, 25 reviews, and 3 months old. Okay. And if you look all the way to the right there, you can see it's been favorited 4,488 times. That's also a good indicator for me because now I'm like, okay, cool. Now I can see that people are also favoriting it in a short period of time. That shows that there's demand for that product. So that's another little indicator that I look at. All right. So let's go ahead and analyze these two here. Okay. So this one here, which I thought was interesting, is these burlap bags. Okay. These burlap bags probably don't cost much to create. Probably not much at all. Now, where do you get these? I don't know right now, but I would go and find a source for these because I know that you can source them because other people are. Okay. So the cool thing is when I'm now looking at the data, so if I go to that little button there where it says analyze listing, I can now pull all that data and I put that in on the right-hand side there. So you can look at all of the different data in a nice little compiled area, right? So the cool thing about this here too is we're looking at, okay, it's 3 months old. It's only got, let's see here. How many reviews does that have? 25 reviews. So only 25 reviews. And this thing's still doing pretty good. I mean, 25 reviews is good, but man, 348 sales a month. That's really, really good. Now, the one thing I am pointing out here is average conversion rate. It says 1%. So that means every 100 people that see this, one of them will buy, right? That's your conversion rate. Now, again, I'm not going to get deep in the weeds there with that, but just understanding that 1% for Etsy is kind of low. Like we've seen 2, 3, all the way up to 6%, 7%, in some cases even more. It does depend on the traffic and all of that stuff, but that's another cool thing that that Everbee has built in, which is really cool. All right. And you can see the review ratio is 2.30%, which is pretty good. I'd like to see that a little bit higher, but still not bad. Okay. They're getting about what, 8? They're getting 8 reviews per month, it tells us. So there's a lot of really, really good information here. All right. So let's move on to the calculator for figuring out the profit. Now, another thing that Everbee has built in, this is why, guys, I love tools. I don't like 100 tools. I like one tool for doing a job like this, because what it allows me to do is be in one place and figure out all of the data and be able to then even take this calculator that's built in. And all I did was click that one button, and then I can adjust some of the costs and things if I want to. But pretty much I click on that, it immediately gives me an estimation of the profit, but it gives me all of the fees from Etsy. So I don't have to guess. I mean, gosh, my wife and I, we were going through and figuring out all the costs and things and trying to figure out all the fees, going back into our orders and everything and seeing how much it was actually costing. This has saved us so much time because now we know exactly with all of our fees, we know what our costs are, but then what are the Etsy fees? It pulls it right in for us. So if you don't know where that is, if you are using Everbee, you just click on that little tab up there, or that little icon. And there's another place on the left-hand side that you can find the calculator. But right here is the easiest. Just go into where it says listing details. You click on the little calculator icon, and then boom, it appears. So I did the math here on this. and I'm estimating $1,266.72. And the reason why I say I'm estimating is because I am actually putting in the cost of the item at $2. So what Everbee will do is it will also guess. It'll give you, I believe it takes like 40%, and then it will add that in. I think in this case, it was a little high because I think these are probably only going to be a couple of bucks. Okay. So it is $2 for shipping. That's what's built into the cost, but we're charging $2.97. They're actually charging for shipping on this item. All right. So then all of the fees and everything are calculated in there. So it looks like for each sale right now on this here, they are netting, what is that? $3.64. Okay. Doesn't sound like a lot, but they're doing volume. And here's the thing with this type of product. There's people that are buying more than just one because it's usually for a wedding and there's going to be for a bridal party, usually. All right. So just another thing to keep in mind, but that's why I really like that as well. So here's another one I wanted to share with you. This was that other one that I shared in that first screenshot. And you can see here, this one here only gets 38 sales, just 38 sales, but it's selling for $38.50 for this little wooden thing that basically costs a couple bucks, probably, maybe a little more. I don't know, $3, $4, $5, right? And all you do is you pull it apart, you put sand in it from your wedding or wherever you were, and you put it in there, you seal it back up, and boom, you've got it forever. Now, the thing is personalized, so someone is personalizing these, but $38.50. And look at it's in what, 19 people's carts, 19 carts. Okay. So you don't really have to have a product like we just showed you with all that volume. You can, it's good, but you can also do really well with a product like this that it's got good demand. Your conversion rate is only 1% once again. So this can probably be improved, but this is a really, really great example of something that you can find that is a little bit more expensive, good margins. All right. But you don't have to sell as many to get to your $1,000 mark, which is another great thing. And maybe you have both, right? Like this is serving now the wedding niche, right? So now, like I said, that's why we want to know what niche we're going after. We can now take these two products and make them part of our product line. And that's what I'm a big fan of, is creating product lines. All right. So the other thing I wanted to show you here is when you click on tags down below from this screen right here. So if you go here, you'll see a little option where it says tags. You click on that, it'll go ahead and give you a drop down. It'll show you all of the tags that they're using and all of the estimated search volume. So look at that. Beach wedding, 2,740. Honeymoon, 3,583. Family vacation. Now this could be used for a family vacation too. So I didn't think of that, right? So you probably want to use that as your tag or maybe even in your title. Okay. So all of these things also give me more ideas. Now, this is something I believe that is within the growth plan of Everbee, but to me, oh my gosh, like well worth it because we get this data and we get it. We can copy all the tags if we want. We can put them in a spreadsheet if we want to just do more digging and more research. We can also optimize our listings better now. So it's a really, really handy feature that they have built in, which I really like. So this one here, I did the math and I said the cost was around $6. So I went a little higher than I actually thought. So I said $6 and calculated everything in there with all the fees, $907.82. Okay. So we're under $1,000 profit. I don't know about you. Maybe you can drop in the comments. Would that be cool with you to make $907.82 for selling one of those things per month? Drop it in the comments. I'm curious if that would be okay with you. So this is a really, really cool product. That's why I wanted to share that with you too. And I wanted to share it because even though it might not be getting the $1,000 profit mark, it's a great add-on. Imagine having the bags and having this. Now we're talking what, over $2,000. Okay. So that's cool for just two products. And this isn't one of the products, by the way. I was going to share with you three. This isn't one of the This isn't one of the three. This is actually the first one. Okay. I'm just bolting this on because I thought it was interesting as I was doing the research. All right. Let's move into the traveler niche. All right. Now, a lot of people are traveling, right? A lot of people like to travel. There's all different types of travel. There's international travel, or there's just weekend traveling, or there's RVs, or there's camping. There's all this different stuff, right? So let's play a little bit with this niche, but let's go ahead and play with like adventure, right? So look what I found here. I put in adventure book, and then here I have these different searches that come back. Adventure book leather, adventure book for couples, adventure book scrapbook, adventure book up, don't know what that means, adventure books, adventure bookmark, adventure book photo album, adventure book passport holder. That's pretty interesting. So this gave me ideas, okay? But I'm going to go after adventure book and maybe for couples. I don't know. Let's go ahead and see what we find here. So again, I'm going to go ahead and click on the product analytics. This is what came up on the main page, by the way. And then boom, I'm going to go into sorting tip. This is a good one. All right. This is a good sorting tip. Got a little bonus here for you. And a lot of people don't know this when they're using Everbee, but this is really cool, guys. So pay attention to this. What you're going to do is you are going to go into your filters. So on the right-hand side there, you're going to see filters. You're going to click on that. It's going to allow you to add certain criteria. So in this case, I'm going to put in here, I want the monthly revenue to be $2,000 at the minimum. So I don't want anything else. So then I don't have to sort through stuff that doesn't meet my requirements. All right. So all you do is just go ahead, click on the filters, put in your whatever you want. I mean, you can do monthly sales here. You can do price. If you wanted to find products that were only selling for $35 and above, you could do that. So this is a really cool way to filter all of the results, so you don't have to wade through the ones that don't really meet your criteria of what you're looking for. So this is a little ninja tip. Okay. So definitely use that. So right here is, as you can see there, I have a book there I highlighted. All right. And it looks like it's doing decent. So I wanted to dig in a little bit here. And as you can see, another one in 20 plus people's carts selling for $40.50 plus. There's a little plus sign because there's some different things that you can probably add on that would bump that price up. All right. So let's look at the numbers. 66 sales per month. And you'd say, well, Scott, that's like 2 a day. Pretty good. 1 sale a day, 2 sale a day, not bad. But at this price, I think it's definitely something that would be worthwhile, because once again, higher price point, margins are going to depend. Not just because the price is higher doesn't mean the margins are going to be good. You still got to be able to source it and be able to get it for a reasonable price. All right. But if you can, selling something more expensive is going to be way easier to hit your profit number without having to do a whole bunch of sales, right? As you can see here, 66. Now, this has been only selling for 3 months. All right. It's had a total of 198 sales, and estimated monthly revenue was $3,564. The other thing I want to point out here, which I also love with Everbee, is we get to look at the views, right? So we look at the views, and we can also get an idea of how much search traffic is being done with this, right? So we can look at that and go, oh, there's 19,834 views. That's pretty good. That means that people are interested in this product. All right. So that's the other thing that we look at. The favorites, 982. That's a good number. I like that. And again, the average conversion rate is around 1%. So not great, but we could probably improve it, but still doing pretty well. All right. So let's take a look at the profit. I put in there $12 for that book. I think is reasonable to find something that would be that type of book and source it for $12. And what this does too, by the way, just to let you guys know, if you don't already know, Everbee generally is taking the price of it's taking the price of what it's listed for. It's not taking into consideration what the discount is for, but inside of the calculator, it does. So if you go into the calculator, you'll see here, the sale price is $54 and it says there's a 25% discount, right? So it takes that into consideration. So when you look at all of the itemized things that it's doing here, it'll show you that it's taking off the 25%. So it's not going to give you a number that's not accurate. All right. So what I did is I took the number that it gave me, the net profit, and I multiplied that by the 66. Came up with $1,273.80 profit from this. Okay. So really, really good stuff here. Chris, I'm going to pause for a second. Do we have any quick questions in the live chat right now that we want to address before we move on to the next product?
Not specifically about this. We did have a few people, Scott, saying, "Hey, Up is the Pixar movie Up, right?" So they had like an adventure book in that movie, the old husband and wife that are in that movie, and that's probably what that search term was referring to. We do have a lot of people, Scott, and I think we'll set aside some time here at the end to chat through the difference between starting with a product focus versus starting with the niche focus. But unless anybody wants to drop something in here right now, everything that we're getting is more related to that topic than the specific products that we're talking about right now.
All right, cool. All right, let's keep moving on. All right, so let's go into another product using travel once again. So I'm staying within the travel niche. And the other reason why I wanted to do it this way, guys, is I want you to see how we look at a niche and then building products within that niche, right? So the first one we did was wedding, and now we're in travel, right? So in travel, now I'm like, okay, someone wants an adventure book. What else would they want, right? So I just put in travel planner, and then I get this: travel planner printable, travel planner Google Sheets, travel planner template, Excel, Notion, digital, Google. So this is the interesting thing here, and I want you to pay attention to this. This is really, really cool. When you are looking at your specific product, so let's say that you sold a travel planner, might be saturated. But what if you went after a travel planner for Google Sheets? You're going to narrow it down now because not everyone's going to want that, but the people that do want it are specifically looking for that. So it makes it where your traffic might be less, but it's more concentrated. It's more relevant to their search, which could be a result in higher conversions as well. So if you look at this, this will give you ideas. So if you did have a travel planner for Google Sheets, guess what you should probably roll out as well? You should also roll one out for Notion. Let's see, probably do one for Excel, right? So this way here, you're able to take that same thing and adapt it to other searches that you might not offer right now. So right there, we can come up with like Google Sheets, Excel, Notion. So you got 3 products from the one. All right. So just a little side note there. Okay. Because travel planner all by itself probably gets a lot more searches. But then once we narrow it down, and you would look at this and go, well, travel planner Google Sheets says it only gets 77 monthly searches, but those are 77 searches for just that keyword. The thing is people are going to find it outside of just that one keyword. So just always keep that in mind. All right. All right. So let's look at this one here. Now, this one here, they are running an ad. So you'll see that it'll say ad near it. They are running an ad, but they're still coming up in search. But I wanted to point that out because some of the money could be going towards ads, right? And which it is. And I'll give you a little bit of my thoughts on that here in a second. But this one here is selling for $15. Its monthly sales is 154. Its monthly revenue was 2,185. And total sales so far is 480 and 56 reviews. And it's been active for 3 months and it's been favorited 614 times. So that's like the very first thing that I saw. Well, this is the travel planner. Really nice, by the way. It looks really cool. Great image for the cover image there. It says it's selling for $11.23. Obviously, there's a sale. All right. And then all of the numbers are there, like I said. Okay. Now this one's converting at 3%. So that's really good. I like that number. I don't like the 1% as much, but 3%, it's pretty good. All right. So now looking at this, let's go ahead and look at the numbers. Well, I broke everything down here. Now, because this is digital, okay, this is a digital product. Well, this here is very, very high margin because there's nothing that you're delivering, right? So whenever you can add a digital item, it's smart. Now, it doesn't mean your whole business has to be digital or your whole business doesn't have to be pod. It could be a mixture. And I think it should be. In this case, you could take the last thing, the adventure book, and this and bring them together. And now you've added another product to your brand that not necessarily is a physical product. Okay, so just another side note there. But this here, $1,473.78 profit. Now, they're running ads. Let's say that $473.78 went to ads, which I don't think it is, but let's say that it was. You'd still be making $1,000. Okay, so I like this one a lot. It shows the potential, and it also shows getting really, really granular with your search target that you're going after, right? So in this case, travel planner Google Sheets template, right? So if you look at the title there, it is titled Travel Planner Google Sheets template. All right. So I thought that was really, really cool how they did that. So again, just to give you more ideas for your own niche, how can you find something that you might be able to tag another keyword on the end of it or in the beginning to make it a little bit more narrow, but yet still it gets a good amount of search and it gets a good amount of sales. So this is what we covered. Step one, identifying the niche. Like I said, a niche is basically who it is for. Wedding, baby, travel, fitness, gardening, Western. You get the idea, right? Step two is then you go with your keyword search. You got to go in and start exploring the keywords, not necessarily just for what they are and how much traffic it's generating. It's more of getting the ideas for the products. And that will lead you into step three. And step three is sorting by the monthly sales and revenue. All right. And that is the 3-step process. And you're going to do this over and over and over again. This is what I look at it like a skill that we are building. We are learning a skill set, and we're going to use this for a very, very long time. Now, you noticed I'm using Everbee the entire time. And before I had Everbee, I was doing a lot of stuff manually, and I was doing a lot of guessing. So this has definitely saved me a lot of time. So like I said in the beginning, I am a big fan of Everbee, and I'm a very big fan of using it on a daily basis. I literally use it on a daily basis, and I know Chris does as well. I teamed up with Everbee, and I am an affiliate for them. So yes, full disclosure, you will buy me a cup of coffee if you go through my link. But I've got something really cool that I want to share with you that I'm going to give anyone that does end up signing up, going through my link. I'm going to give them an extra bonus. All right. And let me kind of go through and show you what this is. So this is what we're calling our special Everbee bonus. If you sign up for the yearly, the annual, which you're going to save basically $120 when you sign up for the annual plan. Okay. And then you get, there's no limitations to it. Trust me, guys, when I first started using Everbee, I was on the hobby plan, and then I graduated up to, I believe it's the starter. And I went through my 30 searches like in an hour, right? I didn't want any restrictions. So this is really the only tool that I am using for Etsy right now is this right here. Okay. As far as doing all of my Etsy research and all of that. So this is 100% what I'm using on a daily basis. And they even just added in, which I didn't even share this, but they added in where you can track your listings and you can kind of see what they're doing over time for ranking purposes. They're always adding new features. So this is the special bonus. We are going to also give you, which we've never offered this. Okay. We only offered this to our paid students, the students that went through one of our workshops, our niche product magic workshop. We're going to give you our niche validation workshop, which is a 90-minute, okay, a 90-minute workshop where we're going to take you deeper than we went today. And we're going to walk you through and show you how we niche down, how we find sub niches. We're going to show you the products that we're exploring and all of that inside of this workshop. So I'm going to give you access to that, and you'll get it immediately when you upgrade to the annual plan. All right. So the annual plan, you're going to save $120. You basically get 4 months free is basically what it comes down to. And you're also going to get that bonus that I just mentioned. Okay. Which is a 90-minute workshop that Chris and I did for a paid class. Okay. And you're going to get access to that absolutely free. So to get this offer, all you need to do is head on over to brandcreators.com/90. So if you go to brandcreators.com/90, you're going to go there to a page. It's going to show you the different packages. You're going to pick the annual package, click on that, and then go ahead, finish the registration. And then once you are finalized with that, you will get an email, number one, giving you access to the annual plan and also giving you access to that live workshop that we did. Okay. Now it's a recording. It's not going to be live for you. It's a recording that we did for a workshop that we did on a weekend for a full class. Okay. And you're going to get access to that. So if you want access to that, go through that link. Now what we're going to do is we are going to answer any questions that you guys have. So Chris, what kind of questions we got?
We got all kinds of stuff rolling in, Scott. And I know I asked a bunch of people to remind me about a bunch of different things, but they all kind of came down to 2 or 3 different main themes. And the first one was, how do we evaluate competition, right? We talked about finding untapped Etsy products, but when we look at the search results, you know, we might see 3,000, 5,000 results, or I think somebody said one of those says it has 33,000 results. So how do we know that something isn't too saturated to sell, or is there such a thing as a product that's too saturated to sell? Or do we even think about it that way? Does that make sense?
Yeah. Okay. So the way I look at it is every niche is going to be saturated in some way, right? And so we do want to go after niches that are in high demand. So in this case, like a wedding. But then what we want to do is we want to start by narrowing it down, almost like we did with, like, let's say we wanted to do digital planners, right? Well, okay, digital planners, pretty saturated. Travel digital planner, now we're starting to move that way, right? And then we're like travel digital planner Google Sheets. So you see how we just did that? So I'm always looking at how do we allow ourselves to get in front of an audience that is in high demand, but also find a way to get in the back door in a sense. So then we can start to graduate up to those other ones. So I always like to try to find an angle in where there's demand, but also where I have room to grow and kind of come back out of that. So to answer the question, I don't think there's anything out there that's too saturated. Like, yes, you can look at those burlap bags right now, and they're starting to get popular. People are starting to see, right? Does that mean you shouldn't offer them? No, you could if you were in that niche. But understand there's more competition coming in, which is fine. But then you're going to want to find other products that would assist in that, or that would go along with that. So that way you're not just going to be going after the product that everyone else is trying to sell. So hopefully that makes sense. I don't really think there's any product that's too saturated, because we can make it different, right? Whether it's with personalization or whether it's with design.
And I think the approach of the product first approach, you do worry more about that, right? And Scott, this is something you and I have talked about a few times in the past, in different environments. And the way that we think about this is, it's not about the number of results, it's about the number of relevant things and the number of sales, right? We know that if we can get a product to rank, that we will get a percentage of those sales. Even if we don't rank first, we'll be able to do that. And so when I'm looking at search results, we're looking at a few different things, right? The first thing that I'm looking at, and the main thing that I'm looking at, is the product analytics data from Evergreen, right? Are there sales for this product? And even if I don't type in the right keyword, Etsy's good enough about getting me close enough that I get a good idea of what that is, right? And then the question becomes, well, are all of the listings here run by the same person, right? If they are, then maybe that's a little bit more competitive than I want for that specific product. So then we take that idea and we find a different angle. The other thing, Scott, and we see this a lot of times, especially with things that are in really popular niches, like bass fishing, right? So bass fishing, if you guys go to Etsy, you type in bass fishing t-shirt, you will see 5,000 bass fishing t-shirts. The problem in thinking that that is oversaturated is twofold. One, we're going to have a different design and we still have a chance to rank. But two, the vast majority of those people are running a product-focused approach versus a niche-focused approach. Why is that the wrong way of thinking about it? Well, if it is Bob's t-shirt mill and they have a bass fishing t-shirt, yes, they have some of the Etsy search engine juice behind them because they've been there and they've been selling. But one of the things that most people don't think about is that one of the ranking factors is how well do your products perform with people who buy similar things, right? And so if we establish ourselves in a niche, that gives us a competitive advantage over Bob's T-shirt mill, because they know people looking for bass fishing stuff like our stuff. That gives us a little bit of an edge there. Additionally, outside of that one product, and what you will typically find is as you're going through this process, let's say, Scott, that the wedding sand saver thing, wedding sand ornament,
Yeah.
was the thing that's where we started. Right?
Yeah.
Maybe that specific product is overly saturated, right? Maybe there's a bunch of people selling that. They're all in the wedding niche.
Mhm.
Cool. Now we take the idea and we go back through this process.
Exactly.
And that's all that we have to do.
Exactly.
Our real goal is making sure that there is enough sales volume around that keyword to go around, right? And our typical metric that we use is it's selling at least 1 unit a day across several different listings. In this case, if you go and you actually look at the product analytics of the search result, not of the product itself, but of the search result, they're more than strong enough to support additional competition. If, on the other hand, we were to type that in, there's one person or one listing there selling 50 units a day and no one else is selling anything,
Mhm.
that would be when I would consider a product to be too saturated. And so if you're starting this with the niche-based approach, not only do you not have to worry about that, because even if it's a highly competitive keyword phrase or a highly competitive product, once we get our feet established with other products, we can come back and launch that, right? And we know that there's enough sales volume to support it. So if we start there, then we don't have to worry about that specific product right now. Does that make sense, Scott?
Yeah, absolutely does. And here's again, like we can keep talking on like the saturation is too much, how much, and all of that stuff. The bottom line is you got to get started. My big thing is, and so is Chris's, is like, if you understand that you have demand in a niche, then it's your job to find out what products you're going to sell to that niche, right? So just imagine it like you have a brick and mortar store, you are going to open it up. You're going to go into the sports and outdoors because you're a fanatic with all of that stuff and you love camping and all of that and you love the outdoors. You're going to fill that shop for that customer. It's the same idea. That's kind of how I look at it. And I'm not looking for like what product has the most potential right now if it's not within my niche, right? Like, so I'm not going outside of that. It's tempting, but I don't do that because we always want to then think about how do we build out our shop to also benefit that shopper that's coming in with more things that they could buy. And then from there, it doesn't really matter how saturated that product is, because even though those bags, you might say, well, I'm in the wedding niche and, that's just too saturated. You might want to add them, because even if you don't show up in search, people are going to arrive at your shop from other items and then they can see that and go, oh, that's cool. I want to get that. Right. So just think about it that way. So yeah, I wouldn't get too caught up in like how much is too much and all that. It's really going after the niche and trying to identify that and then serving that niche with products that you can create.
Yeah, the first thing is identifying that niche, and that's the next thing I wanted to talk about. And once we have that niche, then we look at the products, and from there, it's essentially an order of operations, right? It's just which one do I launch first? And if I can find something that's going to support my income goal in this niche, then when do I launch it now, or do I launch some of the less competitive things and then go from there? So it's not something that would ever knock a product out for me if we are in that niche, with the very rare exception of, there's 50 people trying to list it and only one person is making those sales. I have yet to see that, but if somebody has an example, I'd love to see it. Chris@brandcreators.com, send that over to me in my email. I'd love to take a look at that. Scott, we had a bunch of different questions about how to choose a niche. And the most recent one I saw was, how do we know the difference between a trend and a niche? And the easiest way to do this is to use the basic test that Scott and I use. It's not 100%, but it's like 99.9 for knowing whether something sounds right. Now, I will qualify that this pretty much only applies to native English speakers, right? But if you say, I love X, and it doesn't sound silly. So like, I love lamp sounds kind of silly. Lamp is not a niche. Lamp is a product, right? If you say, I love water bottle, sounds kind of silly. Water bottle's a product, not a niche. If you say, I love fishing, that sounds right, right? So it's something somebody can identify as they are a fisherman, or something they can say that they love, right? I love fishing. I love coffee. I'm a coffee enthusiast, right? Mm-hmm. Coffee would be a niche. All of those kinds of things. And so that's kind of the test that we use for a niche. Now, how do we know if it's an evergreen niche or more of a trend? Well, trends will almost always fall victim to that test. But if it sounds right in your head and you're still not sure, right? Like let's go with I love pet rocks, right? Or I love Tamagotchi, right? Those sound like they could be a niche. So what we're going to do then is we're going to look at the trends data. And Everbee has this built in. And you can go to their keyword analytics tool, type it in, and take a look at the trends graph. If you want a little bit more data and you're not getting, the full view that you want to see, or you want to go out over 5 years or whatever, you can also go to trends.google.com and just type in the keyword that you're looking at. And if there's a big spike or a big dip, and then it falls off or it spikes out of nowhere, you look at 2015 and no one searched for it, and you're looking now and everyone is searching for it, that's more than likely a trend. Right? There's nothing new under the sun in the niche world, right? So there is going to be some seasonality to it. There's going to be some of those kinds of things, but you're not going to see massive spikes and massive dips that then don't recover. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, 100%. Yeah. I mean, the bottom line is this, like, you don't want to go after a trend, in my opinion, because a trend, a trend could be something in a niche that's trending right now and it's popular. And it doesn't mean it'll ever go away, but I'm talking about like fidget spinner trend kind of thing. You're right. It's like something took off. I'll give you another one. Face masks, right? That was a trend. Why? Because we were going through crazy times, right? Not really happening right now, right? Like not as many people need them or want them as many as before. So that's a great example of like, oh, hurry up. We got to get there because everybody's going to be buying masks. We better go hurry up and make designs and put them on there. And then all of a sudden it just dies. Right. And then everyone under the sun has them. There's nothing that differentiates you. And now what do you do? Who do you serve after that? Like, how do you identify what else that person would buy from you just because they bought a mask? Right. So that's now, if you were in, let's say that you were in the rodeo niche, the Western niche. Yeah. Create a mask around that time, put on something that would represent a rodeo, right? Rider. Maybe it was like with a face or something, right? Of a rodeo rider or something, right? Like whatever, make it funny. You could put that in your shop. Is it going to last forever? Probably not, but it might be something you'd throw in your store, but you're not banking on that. So that's the only time I would like use a trend coming up to capitalize, but it would have to be tailored towards my niche. So hopefully that makes sense.
Yeah, and I think trends are okay in terms of products, right? Yeah. And I would say the same thing because we talk about launching products for holidays. We talk about launching products for those things. Those are what I would call an evergreen trend, right? Like it trends for 3 months out of the year or 4 months out of the year, and then it goes away, but it's going to happen every year. So we still want to have some aspect of that. But the thing that we're looking for, and Scott, I wanted to ask you a question. I'm trying to dig around and find it, but it was basically like, if I'm trying to choose, how do I know which one is more evergreen? So I wanted to get your thoughts on this. But something like a holiday would be trending products for that 3-month period of time.
Yeah.
I wouldn't try to be Christmas Tree Hill.
Yeah.
Right. Or the Christmas shop.
Right.
They exist. Scott, I believe that's where you bought the first thing you ever sold online.
Christmas tree shop. Yeah.
If you guys don't know what either of those are, they're a Christmas all year round store.
But it doesn't just sell Christmas stuff.
No, but there's always like a Santa Claus and a Christmas tree somewhere in the store.
Yeah.
Right. Like I don't know. It's a weird business model, but more power to them. I hope they're still doing well. So I wouldn't suggest building your store around Christmas, because to me, that's a trend. Right? It's not a trend in the sense of it's here today, gone tomorrow forever, but it's here today, gone tomorrow until next November. Right. And so what we're looking for is something that's going to sell all year round. And it's never going to be just one product or one thing. It's the interest or the identification that's important. So Scott, somebody had asked me, if I'm trying to weigh two niches, how do I determine which one is more evergreen, meaning it would sell all year round? I'm thinking about selling things that are like to the teacher niche. And I'm thinking about selling in the women's fitness niche. So to me, that one is just like, well, teachers aren't thought about all year round, right? So if we're thinking about Etsy and it's mostly a gifting platform, yes, the teachers themselves, I'm thinking of my mom, right? She'd be buying curriculum and whatever over the summer, but you're going to have a bigger dip there versus something like fitness. So in that specific case, that's just a little bit of the common sense test, if that makes sense. But is there a different rule? So if we're talking about like bass fishing and soccer, is there a way of knowing which one of those is more evergreen if everything else is equal?
Well, here's the other thought though. And I mean, we used to do this. I mean, for those of you that don't know, my wife and I owned a photography studio years ago. That's kind of how I got my first self-employed job. We started a photography studio. But we were busy, really busy in fourth quarter. That was probably 75% of our sales for the year. And then we would just bank it and we would just live on it. And, we would have some steady stuff, but it wouldn't be as busy. There's nothing wrong with being busier certain months than the other. Nothing wrong with that. So I don't think you have to set out that you have to be as busy every single month. I mean, we're seeing that right now in my wife's shop. Is like we crushed it in Q4, even in Q3. But right now, it's definitely slower. So we're starting to see that we're getting steady sales, but they're not like they were, and we can't expect that, right? So, and I know some people, they'll just go, and years ago, I knew someone that all they did was get ready for fourth quarter. They would make all their money in fourth quarter, and then they were done for the year. Not done, but they just wouldn't be as busy. So I don't think there's anything wrong with that. My thing is does that have enough to sustain where you want to go, right? That would be my only concern. Like a teacher niche, like you said, like usually during the school year, teachers are also buying things for the kids, right? It could be, like you said, curriculum, or it could be even like if it's like for kindergartners, it might be like, certain projects or kits or things like that, right? But then you can also throw in there like teacher week and all of that stuff. So I still think that probably could work, but you probably, unless you looked at the numbers and go, oh, teacher stuff is, it can blow up and you can do a whole bunch, probably be more into trying to find things that teacher would want to buy, getting ready for the upcoming school year. That's kind of where I would go, probably. But the other cool thing is with that, then you could also sell stuff for people that wanted to give teacher gifts to the teacher. So you could sell to the teacher and then sell gifts from kids and parents to the teacher. That's kind of probably how I would.
And can I just say, from the most traumatic event of my childhood, please don't give your teachers Furbies. Just don't. Scott, I think I told you that story. My mom once got a Furby from a student and brought it home, sat it on the kitchen table, and then went outside and mowed the grass. And all the Furby ever did was make lawnmower sounds, which is not exactly not a terrifying thing as a child. Somebody had asked, what's our very first priority in here, Scott, when we're just getting started in this business? What is the very first thing that we should be doing? In my mind, it's narrowing down and finding that niche. Is there something that I'm missing there? Is it like a brainstorming thing before we jump in? Like, what is the very first step somebody should be taking before they jump into this journey?
Yeah. Well, again, it depends on where you are in the journey, right? Like we have to identify like where you are. If you're like sitting down, you're like, I want to start this thing, but I just don't know where to start, whatever. I would say give yourself a time limit. Okay. Cause we work best off time limits, right? Like doing this class, I had a deadline. I had to have stuff done in order to be ready and prepared. And guess what? I was ready and prepared, but I got prepared like yesterday, right? Because I knew it was today, right? Even though I could have probably did it on Tuesday or Wednesday. So I would say give yourself that time frame and not too long. But I also would encourage you to kind of look at your own self, because in this Etsy world, it is about design. It is about creating your own things. So I would want to have some type of interest in what I am getting involved in. So I would take inventory of myself and go, okay, what are some of these niches that I could explore that I'd be interested in and that I could build out, and that I could also see a 5-10 year plan here in front of me, not just the short term. So I would start there. I would start unpacking my own interests, my own niches, and then start exploring, going through the 3-step process that we just shared with you here today. That's where I would start. If you've already got your niche selected, then I would start examining, okay, can I find sub niches that maybe are easier to get into, or that could bring in some traffic that still would be related to this? And by the way, the niche validation session that we're giving away as a free bonus when you join the annual plan for Everbee, we'll go through this extensively. We actually go through that. It's a 90-minute workshop that you can that you can get access to. And actually, I'll put that back up on the screen here so you guys can see that. So if you guys are just tuning in, you're going to be able to get this right here, this special bonus that we're giving away when you go through our link. Yes, we are an affiliate. Yes, you will buy us a cup of coffee. We love our coffee. Chris loves his tea. And yeah. And if you go to brandcreators.com/90, you will get the annual plan and you will get this bonus, which the bonus, I'm telling you right now, it's Chris and I for 90 minutes going through niche validation and really how to identify those sub niches. We also go through how to identify your niche and kind of really go through a couple of exercises to really unpack what you have inside that could lead you to a niche that you would like to be involved in and have fun, because it's all about having fun, right? We don't want to do something that's just because the numbers are there. I want to do, you have to know that it's going to take work. And you know, if you're not getting sales, it's going to, be frustrating at times. And if you're not interested in creating this stuff, then it's going to be a drag. So we don't want to do that. So definitely check that out. Get the bonus if you do. Okay. And you'll be able to go through that workshop. Probably by the end of the day, you could be watching that. So check it out.
One thing I've seen pop up a bunch of different times, because it's not something that gets shown off a lot, Scott, is how do I use Everbee if I don't have a laptop or a desktop computer, or I just don't want to use Chrome? And the answer is you can use their web app. And if you go to app.everbee.io, once you have your account, you can log in and you can do all of this research on the Everbee web app, right? It's their website essentially, but they have everything that's in the browser extension built into the backend. Now, you don't get to look at the beautiful website that is Etsy, but you can still do this entire same process inside of the web app, even if you're not using Chrome. So that's the first thing I wanted to share with everybody. Scott, the second thing that we got a few different times was, what's the deal with tags and how are tags used inside of the listings? And the answer is they're used to help you rank and search. Tags, the actual tag fields, in addition to the extra attributes and the category things, are all counted as tags, or Etsy calls the other two super tags, somewhere in their SEO manual that they wrote. And essentially, it's just extra space for you to tell them what the product is about. Contrary to popular belief, tags matter. Make sure you're using the right tags. And that's one of the things that we do a lot of times with Everbee when we're trying to optimize a listing, is we'll do that at the beginning. And then if we're still not ranking where we want to be, we'll go into the competitive listings, right? We'll go to that main keyword, pull up the top sellers, and look at the tags that they're using and make sure that we're matching those as closely as possible. And we've seen this work a few different times. It's amazing, right? Like just making that small little tweak can make a big difference. So make sure that you're filling those out. Anyone that tells you that they aren't counted, that they don't work, one, has never looked at any of Etsy's documentation, because they very clearly say that they do.
They do.
And two, has never played with Etsy ads, because we ran an experiment just to check this ourselves, where we added a tag, our ad magically showed up. We took the tag away, our ad went away, right? Added the tag, showed up, took it away, went away, right?
Well, it shows you that in the back end too, right, Chris?
Yeah.
It shows you in the back end, like in your Etsy ads, it'll show you that the search term that brought that person to your ad, and it'll show you that it came from a tag. So that is proof that they are using tags. And they've actually said that they use tags, but you can see it, right? So definitely use tags, and getting those tags is very, very helpful.
So Scott, is there a downside, or is there something wrong with what somebody here called working backwards, which I think is a great way of classifying it? So they have some products and they now need to backwards engineer into their niche. Mm-hmm. Is that wrong or bad, or is that an okay thing if you're already in that boat?
I'm not sure I understand the question.
So if somebody already has a store and they started with a a product-based approach.
Yep.
Can they then work backwards to figure out what their niche is, and how would they do that?
Yeah, we actually did an Etsy shop audit for an individual, and was kind of focused on an area, but a little bit all over the place. And it was a generic name, like a lot of people are using, like Betty Sue's Designs or something, right? It's like, oh, okay, another design shop, so. What we were able to do is look at her most sales from, there was probably 3 products out of maybe 100 that were just clear winners, and they were all related. So then what we did was we saw that, and then we started to, or told her that she should start creating products around that and start, broadening them out. And that's the direction she went. And then she rebranded her shop, actually changed her name. You can change your name, by the way, guys. You're not stuck with that. So yes, you can definitely, I wouldn't go so wide though. Like some people are like, can I just throw everything at the wall and see what sticks? And then I wouldn't go that drastic. But I would go a little bit out of the area at times, not too far out where you can't come back. Like sports and outdoors is a great one, because that could be like camping, and it could be kids soccer, right? You could still blend the two. So that's as far out as I would go. But yeah, definitely, if you have a shop and you have some data and you can see what's already been selling and what you've been doing well with, build off of that and just start really focusing on that niche, and then all of the sub niches that you can bolt onto it from there. That's what I would say for sure. What else we got?
So actually in the chat, Annette was one of the people that was struggling with that. And she said, I'm selling like bedazzled mugs and whatever. And our job when we're in that position is to think about, one, is there like a really obvious person who's buying this? So if we go back to the teacher niche, right? If we're selling teacher printable, like curriculum printables, well, obviously it's a teacher that's buying that, or a homeschool person that's trying to build a curriculum. So that's our niche. If it's a little more generic than that, we have to look at what is selling the most, and is there a message attached to that? Or is the niche that happens to be buying things from your store just really cool, sparkly green stuff, right? But more than likely you have some sort of a design associated with that, be it bridesmaids, teacher, there's some sort of a message associated with that design in a lot of cases. And worst case scenario, if you have sales, connect it to your Aweber account that you should have created. And if you haven't done that yet, go do that. Start collecting those buyers, and then send them an email and say, hey, like what brought you to my product? Just can you let me know what what made you buy my thing? And you'll get a lot of good insights that way as well. Scott, how do you know which niche to choose when you have something that's evergreen, or like 2 or 3 things that are evergreen? I'm trying to find the exact question here, but it was essentially like, is it okay to bundle a few of those evergreen things together? And I think the example was something like baseball, soccer, and football, because the seasons for all of those are different and they're all in the sports niche. So is that an okay grouping of otherwise not connected things in one shop, or should those be 3 different stores?
So let me try to understand this. So basically like soccer, football, and baseball. And you want to take those 3 and bring them all into one shop.
Would it be okay to put it in one store?
Yeah.
Or okay. Yeah. And
I wouldn't branch those out. I mean, that would be kind of crazy. Like, well, I have to have one just for baseball and one. No, it's like, if you're for sports, that's why I wouldn't go so narrow with like your naming even. Like if you want to serve all sports, then make it something sports, right? And then, I mean, sports is pickleball, right? Sport, right? It's a sport. It's pretty fun, by the way. So that tennis, right? Like any sport can go under that umbrella now. Which that's kind of how we always kind of play. Like we don't want to go too narrow. So we can bring in other things. So it's kind of like, think about if you had a brick and mortar and someone walked in your shop, would they walk in and go, that's kind of weird. I just walked into a sports shop and over there is knitting stuff. That's kind of weird. Like you would think that that was just kind of like set there because you were trying to do something nice for your cousin that sells knitting stuff.
It's very, very small town USA. And I think the beginning of that question came from our conversation about holidays, right? And it's okay, well, if my niche is soccer, and I know that, girls soccer is in the fall and boys soccer is in the spring, right? In high school. And so like, yeah, I have that, but what about summer? What about winter? So maybe I bring in snowboarding, or I bring in something like that. And that's the beauty of using the niche-based approach, right? Those things are closely enough associated that nobody's going to be weirded out, right? Like I'm pretty sure most people here have walked into a sporting goods store of one type or another, right? A Shields, a Dick's, an Academy, something like that, at least on the US side of things. And they have different departments for the different sports. You're not weirded out when you walk in for soccer cleats and see a baseball bat. You would be weirded out if you saw knitting stuff in the corner. You'd be like, what is this store, right? And so if we start with a niche-based approach, Our goal then is just to niche down into something that we want to start with, whether it be a specific product or a sub niche that we then find a product in, right? The baseball bat. And if we can come at it with that approach, then even if it's not to solve an evergreen issue, we can start to add in the other related things. If we start a fishing store, we might start in the bass fishing area. But guess what? There's a lot of other kinds of fishing that we could eventually end up serving. And nobody coming to a bass fishing store is going to be weirded out when they see deep sea fishing stuff. But they would be weirded out when they see bear hunting things potentially, right? And so if it's related, it should be okay. Bob Dale wanted to know, are you guys going to Seller Summit? The answer is yes. At least I am. And I'm pretty sure, Scott, you confirmed with me that you are going to be there as well.
Yeah, I should be there.
Is this going to be available for replay? Yes, because this is on YouTube. Once we jump off, you'll be able to watch the live on 2-speed if you want to listen to Scott and I talk doubly fast. Should all of my offerings correlate within one single niche? And the answer is yes. Now, do they have to be in the same sub niche? No, but my suggestion there would be to start and build a foundation in that sub niche. So if you find that the easiest way for you to get into the fishing niche is on the bass fishing side, launch a few bass fishing products, start to build up the bass fishing side of things before you start to add in deep sea fishing or, kayak fishing or whatever else you want to add in there. But the reason that you don't want to have those different things is, one, you don't want to be an everything store because you're going to lose out on the repeat customers and the customer base. And you also don't get quite as much love from Etsy for niche related keywords, right? It's also super confusing for customers if they do get to your storefront and they see things that are all over the place. And so that would be my suggestion. Just make sure that everything works together. Start in either the niche, if it's small enough, or a sub niche of that, and then work your way up. I've noticed sales shown on Etsy and sales on Everbee aren't exactly the same. What's going on with that? And the answer is it's an estimate. Etsy doesn't release their exact data to anybody, but what we have found is that Everbee is hands down the closest that you're going to get. And with our products, it's almost either always spot on or it's off by like 1. And so what we're looking for there is just the correlation. It's not always going to match up, especially with newer products, but it does a very good job. It's very close, and it's gotten even better over time. And I think I saw that they update their data weekly, Scott. Mm-hmm. And so it does get even better as time goes on.
Yeah. And let me just jump in real quick. If you guys have any questions on Everbee, drop them in the comments, put at Everbee, and someone from their team will reach out to you. So they're very, very good at getting back and supporting and all of that stuff. And Cody himself even answers at times, who's, the founder. So if you guys have any questions on anything like usage or just even data stuff, they want to hear and they want to know, and they'll give you an answer. So just definitely reach out to them. You can drop it in the comments. Like I said, tag them in there, and then they'll see it, or just they'll come back to the comments. I know on their YouTube channel, where we're also streaming, they'll be able to manage those comments. So definitely drop it in there if you have any.
Scott, do you have any guidance for naming your shop? We had a couple questions. Somebody said, should I use my name? And then a few people were just asking just for some general rules of thumb on how to properly name your Etsy shop.
Yeah, well, the biggest thing here is don't overcomplicate it. If you can use a keyword in your title, it's probably better because that does rank. But I wouldn't spend too much time trying to force that. If it didn't, if yours was like sports and outdoors HQ, then go with it, right? Like something sports and outdoors, but are people really searching for sports and outdoors? Probably not. It would be more of, more direct. I'm trying to come up with an example here, on the fly. So if it was if you sold stuff that was like knitting templates, right? Like, or patterns, right? Then maybe it's knitting patterns HQ, right? And then when people search for knitting patterns, you're going to be relevant. I don't think it's something that plays a lot into search, but it could help you. Definitely in your sub your little tag there that goes below the name, that's where you can elaborate more and add more of your keywords that could be picked up. The other place that keywords are definitely picked up is in your categories. So make sure that you categorize them. Don't just put in there like blanket, have it be something like, baby first birthday blanket, like something like that, right? That would be a category. Whatever characters they give you, obviously. But yeah, as far as the name, don't overcomplicate it. You can change it. That's the cool thing. But just get started. And I know a lot of people, they want everything to be perfect. It's, to me right now, it's just getting it going, getting it started, getting something up there, getting live.
Done is always better than perfect, right? Done will show us some results, and we can always make changes later.
Yep.
I think the like default, you can change your store name up to 5 times, and then if you want to change it after that, you can email support, and they'll go, well, why do you keep changing it?
Yeah.
And if you just tell them because you changed your niche, then they'll let you change it again.
Yeah.
But it like, I can't imagine any situation where you'd need to change it 5 times, right? Like just pick something generic. I like kind of the adjective plus niche related keyword approach to this, because you get, I think it's 20 characters with no spaces for the shop title. And so it would be like, amazing fishing HQ or something like, right? So it's like some sort of an adjective plus the name of the niche. And that's a decent rule of thumb.
Yeah.
It's not something you have to spend a ton of time on, because like we said, you can always change it later. Marco Barrios wanted to know, can you repeat the name of the site for email sends out? So Etsy has a direct integration with Aweber. That's AWEBER, I think, .com.
You're right.
Now
you're right.
We're testing my spelling abilities here. And that will allow you to integrate your email list and create an email list off of Etsy of customers. Now they do have to opt in for that, but by default, once you set that integration up, Aweber will send out an email and say, hey, do you want to hear from Marco? And somebody will say yes. They are then on your email list, and you can send them emails. You can send them emails to send them back to Etsy. You can send them emails to ask what brought them to buy your beautiful green glittery mug to begin with, right? You can treat them however you would like, because they are then able to be marketed to and talked to directly by you. It is one of the most underused things in the Etsy ecosystem, and it's free. You can actually use the Aweber free plan, set up that integration, and have this guy, is it 500 emails on that list for free?
Yeah, I believe it is. Yeah.
Something like that. And once you get to that size, you can decide if you want to keep growing it. And if you are following any of the stuff that we've talked about with email, you should be able to earn substantially more from that list than it costs 100%. You to move to a paid plan for there. Okay, so we had a couple people asking about digital products. Does this process work the same for digital products? And the answer is yes, right? Because you're using the niche-based approach, you're obviously not just typing in digital planner or whatever, because that's not a niche. It would be the travel niche or whatever it is. And somebody had just asked, it was Yuli Scott, said, if you want to sell a digital planner, is it not a good idea to then sell a planner for a wedding planner, a travel planner, a budget planner? Because they're all in different niches. And that's exactly right? If we want to have all of those different things, we would have different stores or different shops for each of those. The way that I like to find digital products, and Scott, did you share the digital product example? I know we went through a bunch of them today.
Well, the digital planner, yeah.
Yeah, it was a digital travel planner, right? And so that was one of the ones that we found when we were doing a little bit of digging around. And we found that because we were looking at travel related keywords. I didn't type in best-selling digital product on Etsy, right? We typed in something related to travel, sorted by the revenue that the listings were making on Etsy. And then that popped up towards the top. And then we dove in. And so one of the things that's really useful about that is, if we are in the travel niche, guess what? We can bolt that on as $1,000 a month digital product to our existing store. And then we can sell them all of the other travel related things that they want, rather than hoping that they come back because they bought a wedding planner from us and maybe they're going to go on a vacation 5 years from now. Right. And so if we know that that customer came to us for a specific reason, they want to plan their vacation, then we can build a bunch of other things that people who are going on vacation need. And that allows us to build a much more stable store over the long term. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And I understand, like if you're someone that just likes building different planners, then I mean, you could do it. I'm not saying you couldn't do it. Like you're going to be, but you're not going to sell that same customer a different type of planner for something else, most likely. Right. So we're always looking at it like, excuse me, if we are having a customer come in the store, what else can we sell them? Or what else would they come back? So think about this for a second. If you add a product and someone's favorited your shop, they're going to get notified about that. Are they going to be interested in that other type of planner? Probably not, right? So that's what we always look at. So could it work? Yeah, you could be the ultimate digital planner store, right? But you're going to be kind of in all of these other niches with these different planners that you're going to be catering to. Could it work? Yeah, it could work. Would it be something I would do? Probably not. So
yeah, and there are digital product only shops. That's not the route that either Scott or I would recommend that anybody go. One, for all of the SEO reasons that we talked about, but two, if you want to have a stable income stream, the niche-based approach makes a lot more sense, and it makes your job as the shop owner and product creator a heck of a lot easier, because you don't have to go try to find the next Google spreadsheet or Excel spreadsheet that you can create. You can go, all right, I'm just going to sit down today and I'm going to create 25 t-shirts about travel, or 25 mugs, or a bunch of pillows about I'd rather be on vacation, right? Yep. And it allows you a lot more creative flexibility while also giving you more value over the long term, because you're going to have repeat customers, you're going to have higher average order values, and you're able to sell multiple things to the same person. And so I love that approach. Not saying the other one won't ever work. It's just, if you're starting now, it's a lot easier to start with the niche and then work backwards. Sandra,
hey Chris,
go ahead.
Before we keep going here, we're going to go for about another 10 minutes. If we got any more questions, drop them in the comments. Do me a favor. I got two requests. One is, if you guys are enjoying this and you're watching this on whatever YouTube channel right now, whether it's ours or Everbee's, or on the Facebook group or in the group, go ahead and give it a little bit of love. If you've gotten value today, go ahead and smash the like button or the heart thing or whatever you do now on, I forget what it is. I think it's the like button, but go ahead, give that a little click. That would help us reach more people, and that would be amazing. And we would appreciate that. The other thing is, if this was useful, would you like us to do more of these? And I'm really talking to the Everbee folks. If you're on the Everbee channel right now, we've talked to Cody and possibly doing more of these on a regular basis. And really, the way I see it is, maybe we come out and do something like this, where we show like 3 products, or maybe we show like 3 niches, or maybe how we do sub niching and all of that stuff. Would that be something that you would like us to see? And maybe you can let Everbee know if you'd like us to do it, by just putting a comment in there, and then they can see if you'd like us to do more of these. Because we enjoy doing it. It's a lot of fun. Actually, I'm in Everbee every single day, just using the tool on my own stuff, but I'm also doing it for students and helping people out, shop audits, things like that. So if you want us to do more of these, let us know. We would love to do them, but just let us know in the comments. We'd appreciate that. All right, Chris, let's go ahead and do a little rapid fire here. Let's answer some questions quick, and then we can go ahead and let people get on with their day.
Short Girl says, yes, I'd love to see more Everbee tutorials. We're getting a lot of people saying anything you can do that shows us how to use the tool would be welcome. So I love seeing that. Can you launch a shop with just one product, or do you need to wait to have more than one? And Scott, I know you just posted a video, I think it was a clip on this, but I wanted to get your opinion while we're on here live.
Yeah. Okay. So here's the deal. If you have one product, let's back up. If you have your niche selected and you have one product, then right now I would stop doing what you're doing, whether it's watching this or whatever. And I would go and open that store, like your Etsy shop, get that product listed. All right. And call it a day. Get that thing live. And the reason why is because the longer we wait to let Etsy know we're in business, the longer it's going to take for us to get found. A lot of people don't realize is, when you are relying on SEO, which we're not a big fan of just relying on SEO, we like to drive Etsy sales through Etsy ads and really kind of spike the algorithm. You want to get some momentum. So to me, you're going to learn through that process, and it's going to feel real. And you know what? You might even make a sale. When you hear that cha-ching go off on your phone, it's going to really excite you and make you motivated to want to keep going. So get that listing up as quick as possible. Here's the other thing. If you have one design and you put up that one product, I bet you can create 5 more products with that same design, right? Just using, other products, right? That it can be printed on potentially. So that's something that we always lean into. So Yes, it does not matter if you have one product right now. My recommendation is to go ahead and get everything live. And then you're like, okay, cool. Now I just got to keep creating products and putting them in my shop. So yes, I would not wait. I would put them up as soon as possible.
So Scott, one comment on that, and you actually got this comment on your video yesterday, and I replied to it this morning. But somebody had said, I've heard you guys talk in the past that you are launching like 2 or 3 products a day, and that will happen from time to time when we're in a product blitz, right? You don't have to do that when you're just getting started. No. And it's not the misconception with that concept is that when we did that, we saw massive results, right? There's a video on the Brand Creators channel about what happened. We saw huge results and we saw big long-term results, but it didn't have necessarily to do with the fact that we were launching products every day as much as it had to do, right? Like Etsy gives you a boost every time you create a new listing. They say this right in their documentation and we've seen it happen, but it's not like that boost compounds because we're creating a listing today and a listing tomorrow. They don't give us an extra boost on this listing, but because we have more visibility, then all rising tides lifts all boats, right? The real secret to launching those products back to back is not that we launched them back to back. It's that we got them up now versus getting them up later. Yeah. And you don't have to do one while worrying about the other. If you only have one product or one design right now, get it up. And it will work for the exact same reason that the 30-day product blitz works, right? The faster we get it up, the faster we get it indexed, whether it's one product or 30 products. So if you have one right now, get it up and get it in so that you can start to get that Etsy search traffic, right? The Etsy sales flywheel, as we've referred to it over the past few weeks, is that you kind of have to have traffic and sales to get traffic and sales. And the only way to get traffic and sales is to have something that people can come visit and then buy. Yeah. And so if we have one thing, get that up. If you have 30 ideas, great. Get that first one up and then worry about the second one. And if you can do a product a day for a week or 2 weeks, awesome. If you can't, that's okay too. The reason that we did that experiment was just to see what would happen. Yeah. And it turns out it works. And the reason that it works is you get them up faster rather than launching 30 products over 365 days. We launched 30 products in 30 days and they all got indexed faster because they were launched sooner. Does that make sense? Yeah.
And I think it also, like, you're going to realize that you get this burst of energy and you want to create. Like my wife had all this energy, to create. And then she did and got a whole bunch of products up. And then fourth quarter came and then she was super busy fulfilling and personalization and all that stuff. And then after she was all done January 1st, she's like, whoo, I need a break. Right. I don't want to go at that pace forever. Right. And so take a little step back, still launch products, but not one a day. And she might go in spurts, right? Like if she has one design and then it can be put on 5 different products, she might just go ahead and do that. And then that week she puts up 5 products or 7 products or however many it is. So yeah, I don't think you have to be so rigid, and I don't think that like some people say, like, you should put a new product up every day because that's what Etsy likes to see. Maybe, but really all it is it's activity, and the people that favorite your shop or people that were interested in your shops, they're going to get notifications. That helps. All that stuff. But I would say, like, really focusing also on like your own marketing, right? Like focusing on email list building and all of those other things. Than just thinking about, well, I got to put up new products. So people say you have to put up products in order to be seen. You get a nice boost on that product. And as a result, you do see somewhat of a store lift. But if your time is better spent today, let's say you have an hour to work on your shop today, your time is probably better spent responding to your customer service messages, making sure you have that star seller badge if that's something that you qualify for at the stage that you're in, because that's going to increase click-through rate on all of your listings. And then going in, playing with Etsy ads, doing a few other things in that hour, rather than stressing and worrying about having to launch a product, right? Even if you were to launch a product a day, you're going to run out of ideas after a year or two, right? Even in some of the broadest niches, and you're going to run out of steam eventually. So focus on the things that create sales. People, Scott, and I don't understand this. People seem to treat Etsy like it's this mysterious organization. And while they are a lot nicer than most of the robotic corporations, like your Amazons, right, who are very obviously only about sales, the goal at the end of the day for Etsy is not to have the world's biggest catalog. It's to have the biggest catalog of products that people are buying on a daily basis, right? And so if we can focus on generating sales, everything else kind of follows behind, right?
once you get your first product up, there's only so many things that you can do to bring in more sales, and it will reach a level and it will probably stay there with the exception of something like a holiday coming up, something like that. When you get to that point and you realize that the only way to grow is to add another product, that's when you really need to double down and do that. Otherwise, you can kind of wait till the inspiration strikes and then go from there.
Yep.
What would you do for t-shirts as a category? I have some. Okay, so basically, Scott, would you put it in a category of just t-shirts, or would you rather see them grouped into categories by designs? So should it be by theme or by product when you build your categories?
I don't think there's a right or wrong on that. You know, it's kind of like home decor. You know, would you create a category that said horse pillows, or would you create, you know, a category that said home decor, horse, you know, home decor items or something? You know what I mean? Like, what would you rather do? I don't know that it really matters. I think that's a preference. I might look and see like, okay, what makes more sense for the, you know, for the visitor. Also, you know, is that a title that would fit within the category that is also a keyword? Like, I might look at that, but I also would not overthink it. You know, I would just try to make it organized on the site so it's easy for people to find versus it just being generic like t-shirts, right? Instead of it being like horse rider t-shirts, right? Like that would be better for me. But again, maybe it's you know, not just t-shirts because you're selling sweatshirts and you're selling sweatpants and you're selling other things. Well, then it's going to be clothing or it's going to be attire or whatever. You know what I mean? Like whatever you can put in there that will fit in the category. You got to remember the categories are not going to be that long.
Scott, what's the difference between the niche product magic workshop and the bonus that people are getting if they sign up with Everbee?
Yeah, the bonus was actually one that we gave to people that went through our niche product magic workshop. So we did a bonus weekend. So, you know, we're giving that away here for anybody that joins through my link, you know, for the Everbee bonus, and you'll get access to that. So yeah, that's kind of what that is. We did. And again, for anyone, you know, that's wondering, like, we do have some workshops that we've done in the past. And a lot of times, you know, we'll do a bonus, you know, because we've learned something new and we want to add it to that. So we found that people were struggling with choosing their niche and really validating that it was a good one to go into before you even started launching products. So that's why we created that. And we actually thought about just offering that separately and charging for it. So we thought it would make a good bonus for this.
Our buddy John said, "Cheers, guys. I'm enjoying a glass of gin." I believe he said it was his birthday earlier. So happy birthday. Ooh. Neither Scott and I, neither of us are going to sing happy birthday, but we will say happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
we'll just nobody wants to hear that. So we'll just leave it there. Scott, one last question before we wrap up here today. If you choose, for example, to open a shop selling a digital travel planner, I have a problem with the way that question is phrased to begin with, but let's go through the rest of it. Can you keep it to just digital products, or should you eventually add other kinds of products, right? So Candy, you may want to go back and watch the beginning of this once we get off, but the approach should be that you are opening a travel shop. One of your products is a digital travel planner, right? Our suggestion is not to just open a digital products store unless all of those products serve the same person, and that is then the niche. So in your case, travel would be the niche that you are serving. The travel planner would be one product, and then the other travel things that people need would be the other products that we would use to fill out that store.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And that's kind of how we look at everything, is like, you know, like Chris just said, like, how do we create this shop that if someone was to walk in a brick and mortar is going to walk in there and go, oh, this is all about this, right? Like, it's all about this hobby, or it's about camping, or it's all about knitting, or whatever it is. It's all about weddings. It's all about, you know, and it might have bridal stuff and groomsmen stuff and all of the different things that go along with weddings. And that's kind of how we think of it. So yeah, hopefully that helped. All right, cool. So this has been awesome, guys. I really appreciate you guys hanging out with us. If you are just, if you skipped forward or whatever and you missed this, we are doing a little partnership with Everbee, and they've been really, really great to allow us to come on their YouTube channel. So we want to thank you guys. If you're watching this on the Rock Your Brand, we love you guys too. We're able to give you this right here. And that's a bonus that we're adding onto the growth plan, the annual plan. So once you upgrade and go to the annual plan, which has all of the features basically, and it's basically what I use, there's no restrictions. There's no like limits. I can only search 30 times. You get all the keyword searches, all of that stuff, tracking everything that's in this. And I'll be honest with you, since I've been using it, they've added so many features. Like the calculator is new. What is it? The calculator. What else? Where was I going with that, Chris?
Well, you're going to leave off my favorite one.
Yeah,
it's
actually the
talk
ranking
about today.
They're tracking now the rankings. Your favorite thing was that they actually, the way they laid out all of the information. We have the viewability. We have the favorite, or the favorites was already there.
Conversion rates.
Rates.
That is one thing I think that most people miss out on. It's, as far as I'm aware, and Evergreen, you guys can correct me in the chat, I believe it is only available on the growth. Once you are up and running, one of the biggest sticking points for Etsy sellers is trying to figure out how they can get their listing to sell more. And Scott and I were actually talking about one of the products that we were looking at here today, because when I looked at it in Evergreen, I said, man, they are selling a lot, but their listing is horrific, right? Mm-hmm. They were converting less than 1%. Yeah. And we are able to see that inside of Evergreen. And for anybody who is wondering about like the competition, any of those kinds of things, that to me is a key indicator of how easy it would be. Even if somebody has a listing they created 5 years ago, right? 60 months. I think Etsy always phrases it, or Everbee always phrases it in months, which cracks me up because then I have to do math, right? 84 or whatever it is. Even if they created it 5 years ago and they're dominating the thing, if they're converting at just 1%, that's actually below average on Etsy. And so all we have to do is create a better listing and we're going to start to outrank them once we start to get a few sales in. The other way that we like to use this is when we're trying to figure out, right, instead of launching a new product, how do we get more of what we already have? We can come in, look at our conversion rates inside of Everbee versus our competitors and say, okay, they're converting higher than we are. What keywords are they using that are different? What photos or what style of photos are they using that are different? And we can then use that single piece of information to say this listing converts better. What are they doing that we aren't? And then we can replicate our own version of that and watch our conversion rate go up, which means we are then selling more units without having to create additional products. That to me is a killer thing. It's highly underrated by most people, and it's a newer feature, so it's often forgotten. And I know Everbee by default kind of buries it over on the right-hand side, and everybody gets really excited by the sales numbers. But if you're trying to figure out how to sell more in your own store, use this. Type in the keywords that you should be ranking for and look at how you convert versus your competitors, and then dive into the listings that convert the highest and see what they're doing that you aren't.
Yeah, I love that. That's a great way to analyze and see how you can increase your conversions from traffic. So yeah, I love it. All right, cool. And yeah, Robert, yes, we could do a video on every feature. They're coming out pretty frequently and they're being improved also all the time, which I really, really love it that they're just on it. So Everbee, thank you for all your hard work and all of the resources that you're putting into it. I know that it's a process, so I appreciate it. And I know everyone else does as well. So guys, if you have not yet signed up for the annual growth plan, do so now. You will get 4 months free. You'll save $120 for the year, and you'll get this exclusive bonus that Chris and I are offering, that we did a 90-minute workshop doing niche validation, and we'll actually help you find a niche and then validate it before you even set off and go ahead and start trying to sell. All right. And it can also help you also if you're already in a niche, because it can take that one niche and then show you that there's probably 4 other angles or 5 other angles that you could go into and sub niche down. So that's also what we do inside that workshop. So definitely check that out. If you guys have any questions, post them in the comments. Once again, give us a little love, smash that like button. We would really appreciate that. And also let us know in the comments, what was your biggest takeaway from today's live stream? We would really love to see that as well. So, all right, guys, that is going to wrap it up. I appreciate you. I know Chris does. Chris, you appreciate them, right?
Absolutely. And I love, Scott, one thing that I love more than anything is the challenge of keeping up. And we have 3 chat windows going on today, which is a little bit more than normal. But I love that everybody in this community is so open. They're willing to share with each other and help each other out in the chat, because that saves my little fingers from having to type so much. But not only are they willing to help, they're willing to ask questions that help other people as well, right?
Totally.
So people are asking questions and then they'll say, hey, is this a silly question? No, you are where you are. And that's one of the things that I love about this community, is that people are open, people are honest, people are willing to share. So thank you guys for hanging out in the chat with us. Thank you for asking the questions that you asked. We can't wait to see you again.
Oh, one last thing. I just thought of this. Is there any specific topics that you would like us to discuss on an upcoming live for Everbee? Let us know in the comments. Is there any topics, anything you'd like us to drill into deeper? Would you like us to just do another one of these, or would you like us to go deeper into another area? Let us know in the comments. That'll help us decide what we should do for another live. So definitely do that in the comments. All right, guys, that's it. That's going to wrap it up. As always, take care, take action, have an awesome, amazing day, and we'll see you right back here on whatever channel you're watching this on.